Um, as many of you know, on December 18th, 2025, we lost Greg Biffle, as well as his family, and then three other lives on board. I didn't really know Greg Biffle. I didn't know him at all, actually. I do know a few people who did know him, and they said he was an incredible human being. But to me, that doesn't answer why this time it feels different. You know, unfortunately, I think things like this are just a part of life. And, obviously, for example, like when Ken Block died, or even just Michael Annette a few weeks ago, obviously I was really, heartbroken by that, but not like this. Not like this at all. And I really don't know why I'm feeling this way. You know, maybe it's because Greg kind of came back over the last year with Cletus. I think he was, in a lot of our lives because of Cletus McFarland and his videos and how involved he was with Greg and his family. So, despite how I'm feeling and despite not knowing why I'm feeling this way, I thought it might help me to express those feelings by honoring his life. And I hope in this video I can do that a little bit. So, to honor Greg Biffle, I would like to tell his story and who Greg Biffle really was.
Really hard. I want to thank especially Formula One Auto Body, John Sewell. He gave us a shop to work in. Great people. Gave us everything we needed. We left the car there the whole time. And I really want to pay a thanks to him and his guys. They were real gentlemen to us.
What's next?
Hopefully, looks like next weekend here in the Southwest Tour, and then the following weekend in Winston West.
Okay. You want to thank you to these fans. They hosted you, and you're taking home some of their money.
I want to thank everybody, all the fans, for their support for the whole series, and hope to see you guys back out on the 14th and the 21st. I want to thank Winston and everybody else for sponsoring us. John, Iron Tech, everybody.
And we want to thank you. Greg, step back in there and collect that check. $5,000 for Greg Biffle, the winner of the 1996 Winston Challenge here for the late models. And Bob and Benny, we've got our first points champion of 1996.
How about that? And congratulations to Greg. Big five.
On December 23rd, 1969, in Vancouver, Washington, Greg Biffle was born. Greg Biffle was surrounded by car culture in the mid-80s. He and his dad's biggest interest, street racing. And Greg Biffle's dad, Garland Biffle, was actually a pretty well-renowned boat racer. Greg Biffle didn't really start his career till about his early 20s. He would race at local short tracks in the Pacific Northwest, such as Portland Speedway in Oregon and Tri-City Raceway in Washington, which 30 years later, he actually returned to in the ARCA West Series. Greg's career really kicked off in 1995 when he won the track championships at both Tri-City and Portland in the same year. Out of 43 starts, he won 27 times. He nearly won the NASCAR Weekly Series National Championship, only finishing second in a tiebreaker. After Greg's results in the NASCAR Winter Heat Series in 1996, he started to get a little attention, also helped by a few one-off starts he made in the NASCAR Busch Series that same year. He was later noticed by Jack Roush, and together they ran multiple seasons in the NASCAR Truck Series. And in 2000, Greg Biffle would finally win the NASCAR Truck Series Championship. In 2001, Greg would move up to the NASCAR Busch Series, where he would go on to win Rookie of the Year. And in 2002, Greg would win the NASCAR Busch Series title, making him one of the few drivers to claim championships in multiple national series. In 2003, Greg finally made it to the NASCAR Cup Series, driving the iconic number 16 Roush Fenway Ford. With just half a season under his belt, Greg was able to win the 2003 Pepsi 400. His entire career was a huge success. He raced for 13 years in the Cup Series, making 515 starts and winning 19 of them. Easily, Greg's best season was 2005, where he'd score 6 wins and finish second in the championship behind Tony Stewart. While his stats didn't always show it, his consistency was unlike any others, often showing more consistency than other teammates, like Mark Martin and Carl Edwards. Unfortunately, he showed a steady decline in the early 2010s, which Greg Biffle wasn't really to blame. giving Roush was on a decline as well. Greg's last win came in 2013, and 3 years later, he retired from full-time competition. Even after the retirement, Greg wasn't completely done with racing. He started and won a Truck Series race in 2019, made a few ARCA West starts, and started a few times in the SRX Series, and of course, he raced in the Freedom 500 in 2025. As most of you know, there was a lot more to Greg Biffle than just racing. After his retirement, Greg became deeply involved in humanitarian aid. In 2024, Greg found himself on the front lines during Hurricane Helen. He conducted hundreds of rescue flights with his helicopter, delivering supplies and evacuating stranded residents in western North Carolina. So why am I telling you all this? Why does it matter? Because Greg Biffle directly impacted thousands of lives, including my own. In today's world of drivers getting younger and younger, it's easy to lose hope. Guys like Connor Zilich will be starting their first full-time NASCAR Cup Series season at just 19 years old, versus a guy like me, 21 years old, and starting his career a lot later than most. To the world, guys like us don't have a chance in hell. But do you know who proved them wrong? Do you know who didn't listen? Do you know who said, screw you, watch me? Greg Biffle was 33 years old when he made his full-time NASCAR Cup Series debut. I think the biggest reason why this is affecting me so much is because Greg Biffle gave me hope. He really did. And he still gives me hope that maybe I could just be anything like him. So be like Biff, guys. Be like Biff.
And Greg Biffle has also, if he can get by the 14 car, which he does.
If he doesn't make the mistake, it looks like it's going to be victory number 1 for Greg Biffle.
It is red and black in victory lane. Greg Biffle wins at St. Louis. What an upset this is going to be. Final corner for Greg Biffle.
I got right up on his spoiler. We started off into turn 3. He got loose and just lost it.
About his 4th win at Michigan. It comes today. Congratulations to the 16.
I'm in a truck since 2004.
First checkered flag of the Camping World SRX Series belong to Greg Biffle.
I know, when DeVerde told me Greg Biffle would come, I was like, all right.
With the Freedom 500 down at the Freedom Factory, qualified second, but during the race seemed like the car was off just a little bit coming off the corner. But I hung in there.